Hello, I'm Alberto Giordanelli, Chief Business Development at Victory Productions, and I want to share with you a very interesting project we developed a year ago for the Virginia Department of Education. This is a full online course in economics and personal finance, and there's an interesting story behind it. As I'm sure we can all agree, economics and personal finance are critical topics for our youth these days, and Virginia took the visionary step of making it a graduation requirement for students to have a full credit on a year-long course on economics and personal finance. However, by the time this got into the books, it was really difficult to find enough teachers with the training to be able to deliver this course based on these new standards. So we were called in to provide a solution for the Virginia Department of Education so that they could support schools across the Commonwealth in creating an experience for students that would allow them to absorb this economics and personal finance content with the help of their teachers without having to wait for new textbooks to be developed. We are actually talking about 160 hours of instruction, so it's a very significant course. The standards adopted by Virginia are quite sophisticated, and it took a team of over a dozen PhDs to just put the guide, to just work on those standards and create the scope and sequence and start crafting the content for this course. By the end of it, we had completed over 3,000 pages of content, and we had created it in a way that went truly beyond textbooks and that took into account the possibilities for digital distribution. The requirements for this project were very tricky. The course needed to be self-paced, auto-graded. It was very extensive, 160 hours of instruction. It needed to be able to be deployed with minimal teacher intervention, and on the other hand, it also needed to be used as a textbook replacement for even teachers who had the right experience to be able to share this topic. We developed it in a series of modules, each 45 minutes long, divided it in a modular way so that we would have 81 modules related to economics and 79 modules related to personal finance, plus 5 assessment modules. So it was a very comprehensive program, split up in a very granular level. One of the first interesting features we put into the course was the creation of a series of characters that would allow kids in Virginia to identify, to create connections between the subject and their day-to-day lives. Economics and personal finance is a tricky subject to get kids to see the connections with their daily lives. And what we did is we created this series of characters, each one with his own backstory that represented different students in the Virginia Commonwealth. Now, these characters were involved in a lot of situations, and these situations provided the framework for starting to understand the different factors of economics in a meaningful way. The language we chose to do this in is the language of graphic novels, and the reason for that is that it allowed us to provide an experience that was, on one hand, very contemporary and very attuned to student taste, and at the same time it allowed us to create something that would permit students to progress at their own rate, so they could go through it as fast or as slow as they wanted to. And it also gave us the opportunity to provide some animation without necessarily having to do a full-fledged animated experience. And of course, this would have been cost prohibitive. When you look at a course like this, we have over 200 of these cartoons, and this provided a really interesting model for how to create attractive, engaging content without necessarily having to create a huge amount of animations. And you can see a few examples of those here right in the course. Another requirement that made this very tricky is that this course needed to run on all available LMSs, and that can be quite a tall order. So we created this course as a series of HTML-based, SCORM-compliant learning objects that could run in different learning management systems. Now, the structure of within each module, we had a lot of features that were quite powerful. For instance, vocabulary, which we find is frequently a place where students get lost. We provided a way for students to be able to see vocabulary words and get the definition right online as they were going through the content. So if you put your mouse over one of the words highlighted in red, you get an immediate definition of that vocabulary word. Beyond that, we also added a little pop-up that you could drag right in the content, and it would allow you to look for vocabulary words that were not necessarily present within the that were not necessarily highlighted in red within the page. Over 1,500 vocabulary words made it into this. We also created a widget that allows students to actually write their own, create their calculations and see their own work even after they press the equal sign. And this is very important because this really allows them to see what calculations they are engaging in, and it becomes very useful as they work through the different exercises. Now, once within the content, we provided a myriad of opportunities for interaction. We provide a true blend of instruction, interactive components, assessment, with graphics, images of different sorts, interactive timelines, just a slew of different components that make the learning experience varied and rich. Drag and drop exercises, crossword puzzles, and we also created some nice graphic rewards that go together with some of the exercises, and I can show you a couple of those as we talk about this course. So let's see, for instance, in this case, you have the analog of climbing a mountain as you answer a different question. It just provides a nice graphic backdrop to working. This is the best alternative trade-off, I'm guessing. Nope. We also created what I consider to be one of the most powerful tools within the course, which is a series of graphing tools that allow you to answer questions or explore information by directly manipulating graphics, by dragging lines, clicking to create graphs based on information provided. And that is a very, very powerful way of interacting with information and providing a visual literacy that is extremely important to today's students. So that is another very important component within the course. We provided a lot of cross-cultural connections so that you could reach out to other academic areas, including social studies and science. And since the course is set up as a series of granular objects, we can actually provide customized learning paths through this 160 components, and teachers can decide which ones make the most sense for different profiles of students. We also provided a lot of interactive forums like the one you're seeing here on the right that take students through day-to-day things like understanding a bank statement and similar activities, and this is a very powerful feature. A module summary sums it all up, and then we have a series of assessment modules that happen within the content. Another exciting piece of this is we created what we call the Econ Lab, and this is a very sophisticated way of assessing progress through the course. So now, after having read a lot of content, answered a lot of questions about it, here is where they really put it all together. And what we did is we created this interactive simulation environment where they can choose one of the characters they've been seeing through the course to complete a series of goals that can be completed in multiple ways. For instance, in this case, you could go for instance, helping out, or risk management. Investment can be risky, but it can also be rewarding. So if we choose this scenario, we can choose one of the characters we've been playing with, and each one of them has slightly different interests, so that makes a difference. In this case, you have 12 weeks to build and manage a portfolio of investment totaling over 5,000. And here are the different scores you need to achieve on the different axes. So you choose where you're going to live, what your meals are going to be like, and once and each one of these decisions has trade-offs in terms of nutritional value, in terms of cost. You decide whether you're going to be in school part-time or full-time, and you begin your week. And the series of buildings represent different things that you can do. So you can go into each one of these buildings and, perhaps go to the amusement park and go dancing. And that, takes part of your time and part of your resources. Or apply for a job at the TV channel. And you can go to the financial center where you can actually invest in stocks and see what happens over time. And then you can spend some time in the park. And eventually go to sleep and begin another day. So this is a wonderful way to bring all of the elements they've been learning together. There's no simple solution to these problems, but there's just a myriad of ways of achieving your goals. And this simulation environment provides a very rich model for evaluating student progress. After creating this version of the Economics and Personal Finance course, we were actually asked by the state of Virginia to create a version of that course that runs within the iBooks platform, just as the iBooks textbooks were announced. And we created a very powerful, beautiful version running within the iOS environment, that a book each for Economics and Personal Finance. And just to get a feeling for the sheer size of this, each one of the books is over 1,200 pages long. So we provided all of the interactions, all of the animations that we have on the original course within this iBooks version, and it's probably one of the most full-featured, rich iBooks available in the iBooks textbook store. So we invite you to check them out and download a sample, download the whole book, but this will give you a good idea of how we started out from a series of new standards and created a family of products that are powerful, instructive, and that are making, that are truly changing kids' life in the state of Virginia and beyond. Thank you very much.